So do we have a sad voice? Is it like a voice of a sad person, or is there sadness and there is a voice which it doesn't relate to the sadness and that's the point? Or is it the voice of sadness? Well, keep watching and we might find out. Maybe. Harpsichord. It was actually hard to stop here because that song had quite a drive. Let's take this apart for a bit. That's a cool transition from this. It's already fading in and this just to give this folky aesthetic for the beginning. It doesn't really claim to be a real part of the song. It just is a mood with which you're being introduced. And then we're moving on to this a bit of tangent-filled harpsichord, which moves this somewhat playful vibe and like makes it a bit more serious. I don't know. And with that, I don't know if that qualifies as a drone note, a stable note, which the harpsichord uses as a bass. I also get a bit of this sense of pressure, like time is running out or something. Classical, neoclassical, classical, neoclassical power metal stuff. Guitar and harpsichord playing the same melody. That's the good stuff. I also liked when they played that downward run, the guitar and the harpsichord seemed to gradually drift apart during that. That was cool. Cool transition. There's something about this song that has a really cool drive, especially like the verse and I don't know, the stuff that comes before the chorus. Something in that has a really cool pull actually. And also the chorus, you don't feel the transitions that heavily. It flows from part to part, and the chorus was also cool. They seem to play around with two general moods. First of all, they have this like descending neoclassical kind of melody, you know, something like that, which is rather on the melancholy side. Of course, the way it's instrumentalized doesn't support that melancholy fully, but like generally it's a rather melancholic kind of melody. But then they always end on a high descending mood, which is more uplifting, so it's kind of balancing. That's also what happened in the verse actually, when they had like, I think like 80% of the verse part was one mood, which seemed to be a bit more engaging. I wouldn't say uplifting, but at least not sad, but like right before the chorus it got a bit more dramatic. So that's actually a cool progression they use in this song, which among other things of course is somewhat catchy. I don't know. There's something playing in the background. Almost sounds like I don't know how those things are called in English. I only know the term xylophone, where you have these wooden or metal things which you can hit with a stick and those will produce different notes. I don't know, it sounds like something like that. I still like the second guitar here. I don't know why, but it had this, especially in the first part of the second verse, it had this thunderous energy. That's the moment. Very catchy. Flanger. Cool. Yes. And we're back in the folky sound. And we're back in the beginning. I would lie if I would say that was one of the best solos I've heard so far from this album, but not because it wasn't one of the best albums I've heard so far. It's just there is so many good solos in this album that I can't even I've stopped counting basically, but that was a really good solo. I think the number one thing I actually found cool about this is for the guitar, it's actually something really characteristic Shu plays there, but it's one of the more melodic solos. He's not shredding all that much compared to the other songs. It's a mostly slower and melodic solo, but it's one of those solos where actually Shu's sound really shines. It's this kind of soundscape and melody which he can really thrive at. I don't know, I really enjoyed the melodic part about this. And of course, the solo section in general got introduced with Yuki's keyboard. The synth sound he played there, at least from my experience, it seems to be one of his main synth sounds for solo sections. If he utilizes that, you can actually expect that he's not doing something very experimental, but he's just going full ham, and he definitely did. I've counted 4 parts for the solo section. I don't know about you, but I think it would be worth to listen to it again. That heavy flanger in the background sounds really cool. Of course, everyone should know, but I just have to mention, he's playing a keyboard. It sounds so good. He's so good at this keyboard. Back when I started to listen to Galneryus and listen to solos like this with a similar sound and whatever, I didn't know that much about the instruments, right? And I assumed back then this was a guitar with a really weird sound playing, but it's not a guitar. It's a freaking keyboard. Like the heavens tearing apart. We have golden light. Yeah, I know I like to call out every instance which kind of reminds me of that cover art, but it's a cool cover art, and it's imagine flying through this thick dark veil of clouds, and suddenly you're reaching the top where there's light and everything opens up and there's all of that bright stuff, and that's pretty much what it sounded like. And it's not just one singular moment, it's 3 phases of this building up upon one another, which is really cool. And that's also what they did at the end of the chorus, actually, which led into the solo. In the end, it builds up to something uplifting, and it took that uplifting thing, and when the solo started, it took it even one story further. Smooth transition. Half a step up. I might be wrong, okay? Maybe it might be like context dependent because the song in general wasn't that high pitched or whatever, but that note was freaking high. What was... I don't know if it's like just a note, but it's like, I don't know, there's some intonation in this which sounds so freaking high. It has such a high attack, or I don't know how to call it. That guy is absolutely bonkers. Like, especially if you see him live in recent days, like he's holding up really well despite his age. Like, I don't know how the age affects the voice, but it seems to be obvious that it does. And you usually hear it in lives, right? But the fact that he's actually still able to pull stuff like that off, that's absolutely insane. Cool. Playing the same thing as in the beginning and in the middle, but it's like, I don't know if there's an extra voice or they're playing it an octave high. I don't know what changed exactly, but like they've added something or they've changed something and it sounds fuller. Should I even be surprised about this? I stopped being surprised anymore about anything but this band, but like that was a phenomenal song. I don't know if I have said that before in this album, but like I don't know what to say. It was really good. It flowed like butter, like the whole song, every transition, every like melody. It was all coherent, dramatically effective. It was vibrant and all of that stuff. The guitar was awesome in this. The keyboard was awesome in this. The singing was awesome in this. I don't know what else. The drums were awesome. And of course, like, I just have to name Taka as well because he's typically underrepresented. But of course, the song wouldn't work as well without him as well. You get the point. That was such a good song. And I think the fact that it's so easily accessible, I think that will be a song which I will listen to quite a bunch in the future. This could be a song which could be composed by Shu again, but it's like not as straightforward as, let's say, The Reason We Fight, but it seems to be like a mirror piece in some way to The Reason We Fight. I don't know, it felt a bit like that with that folky sound and stuff. The association I get with this, and this might be a bit hypothetical, but like, I know that one of Shu's main influences seemed to be Stratovarius, which is, as far as I know, a European band. At least it has a somewhat European sound. I don't know most songs of them, but I know some songs of them, and I associate this rather European sound typically with Stratovarius, and it seemed to be, in a musical sense, seems to reflect a bit on that influence. It just feels to me like that. And this is also where we have this like distinction between, it has several moods. We have this a bit of melancholy, which always resolves in something more uplifting, and then it ends in this, especially in the solo, then it culminates in this folky sound, which seems to be the voice which calls for him when he is trapped in this void of sadness or something, right? It's the voice calling to him. That's maybe actually what is actually meant with voice and sadness. So it's not voice of the sadness or voice of someone being sad. It's actually a voice that's calling you out of the sadness, something like that. Would be interested actually how this is reflected in the lyrics in this case. That's basically what went through my head when listening to this. You know, music can do that kind of stuff. Galneryus music kind of fulfilled that function for me personally as well, which is kind of interesting because this seems to be a kind of musicception thing where one type of music inspires the musician and the musician inspires someone else and like it goes on, right? And I think many have experienced this with their music, and that might be why so many people are actually connecting with that kind of music. I don't know. But I think now we're ready to do a bit of work and look into the lyrics, which had at least partially Japanese in them, as I recall. Okay, that should be the verse, and like, how would you call that? That's not a pre-chorus, right? But it's two sections of the verse, with the second having a different melody preparing for the chorus. I don't know how that's called. If you have a term for that, that would be great if you could share it. Suddenly, I fall and look at him. Your body is trembling with sorrow. The many longed for seasons cannot be brought back. They're gone, gone forever. Before I can feel anything, someday this time will come. We all know it's coming, but we all know. Can we just appreciate for a bit how good their musical language is? Do you remember I said that in the beginning where this harpsichord and guitar unison played, it sounds a bit like some sense of like pressure or urgency in connection with time? That's basically it. It's something feels like very urgent, very close to come or become. That was communicated in the music really well. We all know it's coming, but we all know, I don't know, like that doesn't really make sense, but it might make sense if we continue reading. We have a bit of this nostalgia thing. Your body is trembling with sorrow. Why? The many long for seasons. But it sounds to me like it's like looking forward to something, like truly looking forward to something. For example, looking forward to the new Galneryus album release, as many of us did probably. Something like looking forward to Christmas and stuff. And that might be something that gets lost at some point in life. And that's like really sad. And it seems to deal with like letting go of that because it's just gone. And we know that it's gone. Or at least a part of us knows. There we have the chorus. Voice crying in sadness. I'll keep asking myself. Tell me how to get out. Just put me back. Voice crying in distress. I'll keep telling myself. Give me how to stand up. Just bring me back. Yeah, we have this. It's more than nostalgia. It's actually like sadness. Looking back at how things were and how that thing, whatever it was, got lost. And still like this holding on to it. Please bring me back. And this begging to like come back and give me how to stand up. Like, I think that's what that's supposed to mean. Second verse, I suppose. If I'm bewildered by the faded present, I realize how lonely it is to lose. I can't bring back the innocence. I can't bring back the innocence. Is that actually repeated? I mean, that's weird because it's like different wordings. So why would it be the same thing? There's something off here. Okay, if there's anyone speaking Japanese here, if you have any explanation for this, why it's the same translation, that would be interesting to know. I mean, this repetition makes sense. This reinforcement of that, because innocence is basically the key word here. You were able to feel that joy and that looking forward for something because you had this innocence that allowed it, and now you've grown out of it. You're more seasoned, and this shows in the fact that some of these feelings got lost along the way, fading and withering away. Before you know it, you feel it. I know it's inevitable. We all wander and walk, but we all know. There's definitely a translation difficulty here. Here again, with this, but we all know. I have a general rough sense about what it's like trying to convey, but it doesn't quite work in English. Before you know it, you feel it. Of course, that's the thing. The feeling is like an indicator for that. I know it's inevitable. That's also because like experience just shows it is inevitable. We all wander and walk. The only thing I can get out of this with the but we all know is like for the but here to work, there has to be a contradiction, right? So we all wander and walk basically means we still go on despite we know that we're losing something, or we're having lost something, which is actually the thing that gives us the drive or something. I don't know. But something in that direction, like the thing that put us on this way got lost along the way. Chorus again with different wordings. Voice crying in weakness. Wanna keep feeling myself. Tell me how to get out. Just put me back. Voice crying in soreness. Wanna keep defying myself. Give me how to stand up. Just bring me back. Dream. It's to revive like that time. That's cool how they changed up a bit the stuff, because there's a development here. Here they are in sadness and distress, basically. There seems to be no judgment with that. It's basically just an expression of their experience, right? But here we have the weakness and soreness aspect about it. And this, I want to keep defying myself. I want to go back. So I want to go back and be the kid again, which experiences all those great feelings, basically. There is a judgment in that, which is, of course, they want to go back, but it's like not where they're supposed to be. They've grown out of it. They're not a kid anymore. They have to face their new challenges, their new situations, and holding on to that stuff which belongs to the realm of like being a kid and has no place in this current time anymore. You shouldn't go back there, but you still want it. It's also cool. Like I'm currently thinking about this music video where there was this little Japanese boy. I'm pretty sure that relates to one another. So as I said, theme wise, it seems to be a bit of a mirror piece, a bit of a direct continuation of The Reason We Fight, with The Reason We Fight actually looking more fully onto that glorious aesthetic we had, which was so inspiring basically. And now it's more this looking back. I can't go back to this. Dream, it's to revive, like that time. You can only dream about it at this point. Voice crying in sadness, I'll keep asking myself, tell me how to get out, just put me back. Voice crying in distress, I'll keep telling myself, give me how to stand up, bring me back again. That was the first chorus again. So we're moving back to the beginning, but then we have the second version of the chorus again. What's like jumping at me from this whole cluster here is actually this one I keep defying myself. I think that's defining yourself was like one of the main things you shouldn't do in your life. Like everyone does it at some point, but it's the thing you should get rid of. The song is about this drive that actually wants to keep doing that. That's basically where I see the critique in it. And that's also what makes it sad, or it's a kind of dilemma situation. In the music, we have this, you know, this movement, as I said, with like melancholy, which culminates in these memories of how cool and great things had been in the past, but it's not more than that, you know, it's memories. Yeah, so I mean, this song hits quite differently, if I may say so. I'm glad they made it, and we're here now listening and appreciating that stuff in this format. Now, just to conclude, there always seems to be information. This was written by Sho and Shu. I think Shu is pretty obvious here, but it's actually cool to know that Sho was also included. Yeah, pretty cool. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Feel free to share your experience with this song. We're gonna meet next week with the next song of the album. I can't look up the title right now, but we will see.